Come here, Mick. Come here. Ooga booga booga. Hello, people of YouTube. My name is Mickey. It's my dog Mickey again. Well, guys, welcome to episode 48 of the VoiceOFpunk. I'm your host, the VoiceOFpunk. Now, I just finished watching Iron Man 3. I just got back home from the theater. And before I go any further, let me just say, spoil alert! Spoil alert! Spoil alert! Well, okay, so I finished watching Iron Man 3. I caught the 6 o'clock showing. And I just got home. And I have to say, I really like this movie. This is a really good movie. I would say that, like, here we go. He's not comfortable right now. He's kind of like, what's going on? Where's the camera going on? Goo-boo, goo-boo, goo-boo. I would say, like, I don't really think it's my favorite out of the entire 3 movies. Cause in a way, I don't really have a favorite Iron Man movie. Like, the Iron Man movies for me is, I see them once, I don't really have to see them again. I will, but it's not a film. They're not films that I would watch over and over again. Even though, like, I do like them. But it's just not these films that I would watch over and over again. You know what I mean? Yeah, you boo. Yes, Mickey. Yay. And, sorry, guys. Mickey's distracting me. He is distracting me. He's rubbing his head against my hand. Yes, you are. But these movies, like, and just like this one, I think this one was really good. This one, well, Iron Man 3 kind of follows, like, it, of course, takes place after the Avengers, and it takes on the extremist storyline from the comics, which is actually really cool. I thought that was pretty cool. And they really did the story well. Like, and of course, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, he was awesome. He had some very funny lines in it. I think my favorite line was, I'm not going to tell you how, but somehow Iron Man ends up in Tennessee, and he's in the shed with a kid, and he asks this kid, like, he's like this, so where's your mom and your dad? And the kid's like this, well, my mom is off shopping, and my dad went to the post office, or something like that. My dad went to the post office, but that was 6 years ago. And you think it's going to be, like, a really sad moment, but then Iron Man says, like, yeah, well, father leaves. Like, a bunch of fathers leave. Don't be a little pussy about it. Like, that was hilarious. And one thing I like about Iron Man is Tony Stark is an asshole. And that is awesome, because Iron Man and Tony Stark, he's really mean to this kid in the movie, and it is hilarious, because this kid is such a smart ass that it is funny. Like Tony Stark in this movie, he goes through a bit of a, I guess, a bit of a midlife crisis almost. Like, he's, in a way, I did not really get what his whole problem was. Like, he was, like, in this movie, one thing I did like was he was having anxiety attacks. And, like, he had, like, in the Avengers, he has a near-death experience. You know, he has, and I like, even though I didn't really get what his real problem was, but I really cared for Tony in this movie, and I really liked the story that he was going through. I also really liked James Rhodes, the character James Rhodes, and how he goes from being the poor machine and from the second movie, then in this movie he's the hiring patriot. I thought that was actually really cool. I actually wanted when Iron Man ends up like in Tennessee, it would have been cool to see James Rhodes as she suit up as the Iron Man. I thought that would have been kind of cool, but you know. And he goes through a really good story in this. I really enjoyed him, and of course, Jon Favreau. He was pretty good as Happy Hogan. He's not in the movie as much as he was in the other two, but he had some pretty funny moments, I thought. Like the part where, because in this movie you find out that he has retired from being Tony Stark's kind of bodyguard, and you find out that he's now Stark Enterprises head of security, and he takes his job very seriously to the point where he gets told there are 300 complaints from staff, like something like that. That was funny, and when that happens, he's like, that is good, because now I know that they're hiding something. One thing I should really talk about was, I'm going to talk about stuff that I did not like. I didn't like Pepper. I thought Pepper in this movie was... I didn't really care. Like, it wasn't... in the beginning, I kind of found her a bit annoying. Then as the movie goes on, I just didn't really care. I was like, I think it was just the amount of time that, like, I can tell the movie really wanted me to care about Pepper, but it just happened to be like, I don't know, just the amount of time that they showed her, it was very, very, like, she was in the movie in very small parts, and it didn't really get me to care or give a shit about her. Like, okay, for example, in the first movie, I liked her. The second movie, I was just kind of like, well, she's the wife, you know. Okay. Like that. In this movie, I just did not care. And then again, Pepper is a character who I see a million times over. So, like, she's, of course, the damsel in distress, but then not really, and she's kind of like this independent, strong, smart woman, and it's just kind of bland for me. Sorry, Mickey. I poked him in the nose. I'm sorry. Mickey. And she just came off as very bland to me. Another thing I did not like. Okay, well, first of all, okay, you got my, like, if you don't want to hear about the main bad guy, stop the video right now. Just stop it. Okay, I'm going to give you a chance. If you don't want to hear about the bad guy, stop it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, stop. Okay, if you stayed, then you're going to get the movie spoiled. You're going to get spoiled the shit out of this movie. Okay, Ben Kingsley plays the Mandarin. And let me just say here, Ben Kingsley was awesome. He was awesome as the Mandarin. One of my favorite speeches that he does is where he talks about the fortune cookie. Like, he's sitting there in his chair, and there's, I think, 3 fortune cookies on the table, and he goes like this. You know, fortune cookies, they're supposed to be Chinese, but no, they are American made, which is very fitting, because they are fake and full of lies. Like, they are fake and full of lies. Crushes one, Goes to the next one. No, okay. He goes, they are, because they are hollow. The messages are fake and lies. And it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Like, when he was doing that, he was intimidating as hell. Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin was awesome. He had like the wicked beard, the little ponytail. His suit looked amazing. And like the Mandarin was awesome. And then the other bad guy was, from the Extremist storyline, this man named, I'm probably saying his name wrong, Kellerman? Or something like that. I can't pronounce his name. But in the Extremist storyline, Kellerman has a very small role. Like, he's the creator of the Extremists, but when it falls to the wrong hands, he gets so depressed he kills himself. Well, in this movie, he's made into a bad guy. And he has a really big part in it. And you're made to believe that he's making technology for, like, he's making the extremists for the Mandarin. Like, you kind of get the idea he's kind of making the Mandarin's troops. And I'm going to say right now, and then Kellerman is played by Guy Pearce. And Guy Pearce, I'm going to say, he was really good as him. I really liked him as him. He played a really good bad guy. A really good bad guy. But the part where I turn on this is you find out that Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin is not the Mandarin. You find out that Ben Kingsley's character, after being so cool and so badass, you find out he's a drunk actor. And then you find out that the character of Kellerman, who has the slicked back blonde hair and the tuxedo and like the good looks, the suave, and like the generic businessman bad guy who's a scientist, turns out that he's actually the Mandarin. And it turns out that Ben Kingsley was nothing more than a double for him. And that I really hated, because I did not get why did they need to do that? Because Ben Kingsley was awesome Ben Kingsley was awesome as the Mandarin. He played a really good Mandarin. He played a really good bad guy. And even my brother said that he was scary. He was actually scary as the Mandarin. Then you find out he's just a drunk actor. Then you find out this generic scientist kind of businessman is the true bad guy, and he's the Mandarin. And I felt that was a really big cop-out. The reason why is because in all these movies, in all the Iron Man movies, most of the main bad guys were nothing more than scientist kind of businessmen in tuxedos. Like the bad guy in the first one, the Ironmonger. He was, he was the same thing. Like, he was Tony Stark's. He was the partner of Tony Stark's dad, I think. And then the second main bad guy in the second movie wanted to destroy Stark Enterprise, and he was a scientist, and he gets Hickey Rourke to help him. Well, Hickey Rourke had his own evil plan and stuff, and then this one, it's the same thing. Like, the same generic scientist, business, bad guy. But it seems very weird to me, because I did like the character. I thought the character was kind of cool, but the fact that it was just this generic businessman bad guy as the main villain, I thought was a huge cop-out. And the also reason why is because in the Fantastic Four movies, when they made Victor Von Doom into that scientist businessman, And like the Green Goblin, scientist, businessman, Dr. Octopus, scientist, businessman. And it just, I don't know, it seems like in these movies, except for, I guess, Captain America and Thor, I guess Hulk, I think, the Incredible Hulk. Yeah, okay, except for Captain America, Thor, and the Incredible Hulk, and the Avengers, all, except for those ones, everybody else always had a scientific bad guy. I guess, like, Rise of the Silver Surfer had, like, Gladys and Doctor Doom, but, well, yeah, it did have Doctor Doom. But, like, it just seemed very generic, very cliche. But also, like, I've seen this in every other Marvel movie, you know? And, I just thought it was a really bad twist. I did not like it. I just thought it was horrible. But I did like the character, though. I thought the character that Guy Pearce played was a really good villain. I thought he was a cool villain. He kind of reminded me of, like, Jim Carrey as the Riddler if he played it straight. Kind of thing. Like, if he played it straight, played a lot more crazy, a lot more smooth and calm, then I think he would be kind of like this guy. Another thing I didn't like was the fact that there's kind of a bit of a love triangle at the very beginning of the movie between Pepper, Tony, and Kellerman, which only lasted for like a minute. that plot just kind of dropped out of the movie, which I was actually happy about. I was like, yes. But like Pepper sees him and she's like, oh my god, he's so much more attractive than Tony. Oh my god, I feel so wet, you know. Is that really generic kind of love triangle? Like, I love my husband, but damn, this man's attractive. And that storyline, I think, only lasted, I bet you, 2 minutes. It was funny. But again, I really like this movie. I thought this movie was really good. The effects in it was awesome. And I did see it in 3D, you know, with my 3D glasses. I watched Iron Man 3 in 3D, yay! I'm not a fan of 3D, mostly because it most of the time 3D doesn't work for me. Like, I have very, very bad eyesight, so 3D doesn't really kind of work for me most of the time, but here, I noticed it, and I thought 3D was really good. It's more, environmental kind of 3D. And, but I thought it was really well done. I thought it was really good, especially when an explosion happened and you saw, like, the little specks and little burnt wood just kind of going, you know, little ashes going off. I thought that was cool. This movie also had really sad moments in it. Like, okay, for example, in all these movies, they always had, like, a little, he always had, like, this tiny little robot. It was just kind of like a little arm, like that. I loved this thing. I loved it. But then there's a part where the Mandarin, or, like, the bad guys, attack Tony's home and like, completely just destroys his home. And there's this part where the roof, like, lands on that robot. It was sad. I was like, oh my god. And then, like, the robot sinks into the ocean. I was like, no! And what's so funny at the end, Tony goes back and gets the robot out of the water. And he has it in the back of his car. I thought that was hilarious. Like, he has the robot in the back of his car. I was like, yes! Things back. And you see, like, little kind of rust. It's all rusted. It's like seaweed hanging off of it. And there's this part where Jarvis, those who don't know, the character Jarvis, in the comics, he's the butler. But in the movies, he's turned into the Tony's computer, I guess. Where he programmed to all the suits. And there's this part where Jarvis kind of dies. Like, Jarvis comes back later, but I think, like, when the suit dies, like, the suit kind of dies out because it runs out of power. And it's sad. Because, like, Jarvis is like, I think I sleep now, sir. Then, like, just shuts off. And then you hear Tony's like, Jarvis? 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 Like that, it was like sad music playing. I was like, Jarvis! No! Jarvis! I was almost expecting Tony to go Tom Hanks straight from Castaway. Wilson! I'm sorry, Wilson! I was almost expecting him to go like, Jarvis! I'm sorry, Jarvis! But anyway, that would have been hilarious. Yeah, I really liked the movie. I think if I put them in order, I don't know which one would really be my favorite. Yeah, I don't really have a favorite. Like, I kind of like all these movies kind of equal. And there's a burning question now that everyone's, because obviously at the end of the movie, Tony, like, huge spoiler alert, by the way, Tony has all of his Iron Man suits self-destruct. Like, he has it all gone. Like, he makes sure that he gets Jarvis to blow up all of his suits. All of them. And then he gets himself cured by actually fixing his heart, and he doesn't need that things in his chest hair to survive, and he throws it into the ocean. It burns in the question that, okay, where does this go now? Because pretty much Tony has basically retired. Like, he, destroyed his suit, he fixed his heart. Now, what is left for him to do? I do believe, because even though like that big twist, that Kellerman was ultimately the Mandarin. If this is not the last movie, then they should have the real Mandarin appear. Because I refuse to believe that Kellerman is the real Mandarin. I refuse to believe it. Like, I'm not going to tell you why, but just watch the Mandarin before he's revealed as the drunk actor. Watch the Mandarin, and then watch the drunk actor. It's not the same thing. I know it's like, oh, he's an actor. Like, I am an actor. My name is Trevor. I am an actor. So I am an actor. It's a role of a lifetime. Like, but, watch it again. It just doesn't seem right. So, I really don't think that... if they do another movie, I really don't think that they should drop the Mandarin. And obviously, Robert Downey Jr. is going to appear in the next Avengers movie. And so I do see a lot more movies coming in. Sorry for Iron Man, like either not a next Iron Man movie or movies that Iron Man will appear in, like movies that would have Iron Man in them. Because I don't think Iron Man is done yet. I don't think Robert Downey Jr. is done yet. I don't think he's, I don't think... This didn't really feel like a nice little neat bow. Like, you know how The Dark Knight Rises was a nice little bow? This didn't feel that way. And I'm almost expecting, like, Iron Man 4 being announced soon, so... But anyway, that was my thoughts on the movie. I highly recommend it. For those of you who are fans of the comic or fans of Mandarin, you may be disappointed in that sense, but I thought it followed the extremist storyline pretty well, but then again, I should only read it once, so. But I highly recommend this movie. I say go see it. It's really good. There's problems. Like, it's not a flawless movie by any means, but the good parts of this movie overweigh the bad parts. So I highly recommend it, and I hope you guys go see it. And I hope you guys enjoy. And if you guys have seen it, tell me your guys' thoughts about the movie. I would love to hear it. Alright, so that was episode 48, and I'll see you guys on Monday for my Raw review. Bye, guys.